Okay, today we want to determine the slope of a line given a table or 2 points. Okay, so we really don't have we have graphs, but we really don't have a graph. So they will give us 2 points and we'll figure it out. Okay, so I already wrote in our I can for today. Okay, and how to make it real easy, I'm gonna go ahead and slide down so I can give you the formula for this. So remember we talked about rise over run. Okay, so our rise is really, if we're given 2 points, our y2 minus y1, or our second y coordinate versus or minus our first y coordinate over our second x coordinate minus our first x coordinate. Let's say x, I'm sorry. So if you look at this point, remember our y's are y2 minus y1, and our x's are x2 minus x1. So it makes it simple. So this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis. So our x1 and y1 is here, and our x2 and our y2 is here. So I can go up here and figure out what our y1 is. And then I can go up here and figure what our y2 is. Okay? And a lot of times it's already in the order paired, or once you figure out the plot, you can, once you figure out the point that's plotted, you can look up your x's and y's and then you figure it out. Now for your x's, you can go to the right and figure out what your x1 is, and it'll be somewhere here. Now I'm just talking about for this example problem. And then this will be your x2. Now if we have a table, they'll give us our x1 and x2. So here will be our x1, and that'll be our x2, and this will be our y1, and this will be our y2. So something that's important is if you label something x1, that means y1 has to follow. So you can't have an x1 and a y2 at the same order pair. Okay, vice versa. So if you label something x2, that means that has to be y2 also. Okay, you cannot mix and match what you want to label. So I'm going to go ahead and write the equation down again. So I have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then they give us the coordinated points right here in the order pair. So it becomes simple because all we have to do, and I hate saying simple, but it is simple if you understand what's going on. So all we have to do right now is label what we have. So here's our first pair. Now I'm going to go ahead and label this x1. And since that's x1, that means this has to be y1. Okay? Which leaves this is x2. And since that's x2, that means it has to be y2. Remember, x always comes before y, just like it does in alphabet. So let's plug it in. So the first thing it says is y2. So here's my y2 right there. So I have -1 minus, what's my y1? Right there. -3 over, what's my x2? So here's my x2, -2 minus, my x1 is 4. So let's figure out my slope. So I have a -1 minus 3. Okay, remember they're both negative, and I'm combining like terms, so it stays negative, and I just add the number up. So 1 plus 3 is 4, and I have a -4. It looks like it's the same thing down here. I have two negatives, and I'm combining them. So I have a negative 2 minus 4. I know my answer is going to be negative, and 2 plus 4 is 6. Now we still have to simplify this. We can't leave it at that. So I have two negatives in the division problem now. See, it's a fraction. All fractions are division problems. So it turns positive. Okay, remember, two negatives and multiply and divide and turn positive. Now I look at that 4 and that 6, and I say, what number can divide into both of them? So both of them are even numbers. And I know 2 divides into all even numbers, so let's see if we can simplify that. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And the only thing that can divide in these numbers are 1. So this is simplified. That's our slope. So our slope is rise up, run over 3. Okay, rise up 2, run to the right 3 because both of them are positive. So on this one, they give us our x1, x2. See that right there? It tells us that's our x values. And if this is x1, that means this has to be y1. And if this is x2, that means this has to be y2. So I love drawing our formula out and just plug and play. Because all it really is, I don't want to say function, but yes, all it is a function. You learned that when functions, you just substitute numbers to get a output. Okay. So our y2 is right here. So we have 14 minus, and our y1 is 10 over our x2 is negative 7 minus, and our x1 is 8. So it looks like a big number. So let's do the math. And I'm going to go ahead and slide it down here for our answer. So 14 minus 10 is 4. All right, then we have a negative 7 minus 8. Remember, we're combining two negative numbers, so it stays negative. And then we just add the numbers up. So negative 15. You can't reduce or simplify that because no number can divide into either one of them numbers except for 1. And it gives us back to 4 and negative 15. All right, so let's do our 3 example problems. So we have x1, y1. See how I label every time? x2, y2. And when I label, I don't leave anything up to chance. So if I label it, I know exactly what I should be writing in or plugging in to my formula. And then every time you also see me write my formula so I don't get confused. So my y2 is negative 4 over, minus my y1 is 6 over, what's my x2? See if I can draw a line all the way around. My x2 is 2 minus my x1 is 3. So I have two negative numbers. I keep the sign and I add them up. So 4 plus 6 is 10. Then I have 2 minus 3. So that should give me negative 1. Both are negative and it becomes a division problem. So 10 divided by 1 is just 1. These negatives turn positive. So here's my slope. I'm sorry, 10 divided by 1 is 10. So that's my slope. So let's move on to the second problem. Here's my x1, y1, x2, y2. Let me write out my formula. So my y2 is 2 minus my y1 is 2 over my x2 is negative 5 minus 3. So now I have 2 minus 2, which is 0. And I have negative 5 minus 3, which is negative 8. So 0 divided by negative 8 is 0. We have no slope. Here's our last one, and they already labeled it for us. We just got to plug it in. So here's our x1, x2, y1, y2. Here's our formula again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now let's plug that stuff in. So y2 is 1 minus y1 is 3 over x2 is 5 minus x1 is a negative 1. Okay, I'm glad they gave it this type of problem because we have two negatives. So negative 1 minus 3. Okay, that gives us a negative 2. We have 5 minus a negative 1. So we got two minuses that's multiplying. So it really turns into 5 plus 1. That gives us a positive 6. So what numbers can go into 2 and 6 because both of them even? So I know I can simplify. So 2 can divide into 2, and 2 can divide into 6. So how many times can 2 divide into negative 2? Right, negative 1. How many times can 6 divide into 2? 3. So our slope is negative 1/3. All right. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. You'll have work problems to be able to hone into your skills to perfect your craft. All right. Talk to you soon.